The Hartley Show is a comic book review program and does not own any of the copyrighted material featured in this episode. All copyrighted material featured will be used as fair use for the purposes of criticism, comment, news reporting, and/or research. Taki Taki. Today on The Hartley Show, we're doing a commentary-style episode on account of some missing audio files. I wonder how the hell that could have happened. Huh? Barry?
One mistake. One.
Hey, look, it's a bunch of comic books that I own and a big dumb bald guy.
I know that big dumb bald guy. Hey, I happen to be sitting next to him.
So, obviously we're doing this because Barry nearly fucked up the audio files.
Boo.
in a stunning move from Barry Nerling, usually the most professional of all of us.
Nice shirt.
So Stormwatch.
Yeah, what the fuck, DC? I mean, last issue they decided to change everything for no apparent fucking reason. They'd had Jim Starlin, the writer of this book, for like the last 12 issues or so. He did great stuff with it. He revamped the characters, and then they decided the last issue was canceled. They've already lost their audience. Let's change everything again because nobody's reading. What? It's all very confusing.
Right.
And Jim Starlin, he's the guy who created fucking Thanos. He's like the godfather of all things cosmic. It's just baffling. Baffling, I say.
Right.
Right.
For anybody listening who hears crunching, I'm eating chips.
Which is so out of character for you.
I know.
I told you they were good chips.
They are good chips. Steve brought the chips.
Anyway, so the 3,000.
Yeah, Justice League 3000. It was a very easy to underestimate book. They started off saying they were clones, but it turns out they aren't clones. It's probably part of this spoiler alert thing. And it turns out what they actually are human volunteers that don't know they were going to be killed by Justice League DNA. They inject them with this DNA, it rewrites their entire body, and so it's not really a cloning process, it's more like a refabricating of a human persona, so they die to become...
So they were just regular Joes that get it injected with the DNA and become the superheroes? Oh, that's interesting.
Yes.
Something about Firestorm.
Oh, the neat thing what they do with their Firestorm, they bring Firestorm into the universe as well. And the neat thing about that is because the original Firestorm is two people merged into one, trying to clone somebody like that, you just end up with an unstable personality. So this book, they're going to try remarketing it, Miracleman, because it's not selling as well as they want to. And that's quite bizarre, because Miracleman, you know, one of the first big Alan Moore books, right after he did Swamp Thing, and Miracleman, of course, was originally called Marvel Man. It was the way that the UK was able to continue on basically telling stories about Captain Marvel once Captain Marvel comics vanished because DC Comics sued the shit out of Fawcett and they couldn't afford the legal fees. And so they did these horrible comics you're seeing right here, the Marvel Man, which were horrible, absolutely atrocious.
That's terrible.
But, you know.
Bombs don't go woof, they go boom.
Good point, actually.
Excellent point, Carl.
That is really goofy.
That's one of the basics of comics. Here's that little nudity bit.
The nudity bit, yeah. So normally when you buy a Marvel comic that's more than $3.99, you get a free digital copy. With Miracleman, you're not because of Liz Moran, that's the naked woman there, is butt crack. What they decided to do instead, and it's all Apple's fault, Apple has like incredibly stringent nudity standards, they gave her underwear. So you gotta go buy your digital comic separately from, but it's still the same price.
That's weak.
Like $4.99, it's totally weak.
That's weak.
So does that mean they banned things like butt cleavage?
Yeah, that was exactly what we just saw. They banned butt cleavage.
Well, that was like the full butt, but I'm talking about if like somebody's bending over, like Plumber's
oh, they got pants on, they're fine with it. Plumber's pants, funny. The new Moon Knight, of course, and his new look where they call him Mr. Knight so he can work alongside the police.
That's a weird looking outfit.
I like this one though.
Yeah, that one's cool.
Yeah,
I like that. I like with the black.
Yeah. That's a great take on Moon Knight, because classically his face was always enshrouded in darkness. It made artists think that his face mask was just black, when it was just in fact in darkness. Now it is just black. Yet another dead Fang character.
And which series is this?
The all-new Invaders. Apparently they're never going to be referred to as the Invaders, which is kind of strange, because the whole first story arc is about them. The Kree come and they fuck with them, so they go and invade Kree. Of course, the Invaders were originally a World War II comic.
Right.
A retroactive World War II comic, because Marvel Comics didn't have a superhero book at the time. They only
Marvel
had...
Comics wasn't really around then.
Well, exactly. They were timely. They weren't called Marvel. Although the first issue with the Human Torch in it was called Marvel Comics, which is printed by Timely. Yeah.
You're timely.
Yeah.
And what's going on in the world of this Fantastic Four, isn't it?
That's right. This is the other James Robinson book. James Robinson, of course, the genius who created the Starman comic, the last Starman comic for DC. Great stuff. It's all about sort of the downfall of the Fantastic Four. That's just the first issue you're seeing. I think they're only on issue 2 right now.
Binding.
A good example of binding in a book that doesn't have lots of good examples of binding. And you can actually see a little bit of white space there, which is, I think, one of the best ways to sort of salvage the lost information that comes via glue binding.
Well, I used to always hate that, like, because back in the day, you'd open it up and there'd be like a quarter of an inch of page missing because of the way it was bound.
Yeah.
In the center.
Yeah, because they would bind, because it would be printed like right to the edge, and then they would bind it, and you wouldn't be able to see it, right?
Yeah,
And
it's
this is
quite frustrating.
DC right now, right?
It's DC. Now, I mean, this volume, it's a great deal. I mean, you're saving a lot of money if you buy this versus the individual issues, and it's a nicer volume overall. But the double-page spread gets
look
fucked.
at that. That's
And
awful.
there you go, right there.
Yeah, like you almost lose all of Wonder Woman's waist there.
Yeah, well, then her waist looks just fucked.
Well, the aspect ratio looks all messed up now.
Yeah, and you can see I'm holding it as flat as I can and pulling it to make it look like you're getting the full image. But this is a better example even of art just being fucked. Ivan Rice deserves way better than what he
Yeah,
got.
it baffles me that it would even be like printed.
Yeah, but it's a regular thing.
So now we're into Marvel.
Now we're into the new Avengers Omnibus.
This is how it should be done, right?
Yeah, and Marvel's Omnibuy, or they're just fantastic. DC has had a lot of catching up to do, and it really is, again, it's the difference between stitch and glue binding. The stitch binding, it just opens flat perfectly like that. Yeah, I mean, that's amazing. Look,
That looks perfect.
it does. Frank Cho, fantastic.
Are we talking about the binding or Spider-Woman?
both?
Very good.
You have to ask.
Spider-Woman's referred very oftentimes as comics' sexiest superhero.
She is sexy.
Have you guys seen the website?
Our website?
It's a great website.
We have a website?
We do.
Wow.
It's nice. I like the website.
Yeah, that's cool.
Apparently, I don't read satirical cartoons.
Yeah.
That's what the website says.
What do we got here? This is another Marvel book?
This is the next one. Yeah, it's these are the two most recent big volumes that I bought. This is the Dark Avengers, and another great example of binding done right. You can actually see that the bigger volume actually almost helps it lay flat easier, but still you're maintaining all the information in a way that the DC volume didn't. And this is an example of Marvel's graphic novel program that I call, I don't like the word graphic novel so much, but this is produced in this format. It is a true graphic novel in a sense. But yeah, they went to this glue binding process, and they used horrible paper. You see the distortion there?
Yeah.
When I turn the page, you're actually going to see that image through the page itself, and it's truly just shitty paper quality is the only
And
reason.
how much you paying for that book for that quality?
That was about $25.
And is this a relatively new book?
Yeah, it came out probably in the last 6 months. So, to anybody who's still watching at this point, thanks so much for watching our neat little experiment here that we had to do because our lovely Barry nearly fucked up the sound files, which doesn't usually happen. But look at that guy. He looks like a competent guy.
He does, sort of. Yay, Ray Chan!
He doesn't really have the sweaty armpit problem that I have. And of course, thanks to Taz, as always, for letting us do what we do at the store.
They're putting up
It's
with
a great
their crap.
venue,
Yeah.
putting up with their crap.
Yeah, they're great guys there, and ladies mostly.
Mostly women.
Mostly ladies.
I don't know what to do with my hands.